Thank you, Mr. President. Please sit. The Honorable Chairman of the University of the Cordilleras Board of Trustees, Dr. Jesus Benjamin Salvosa, University of the Cordilleras President, Dr. Ricardo Pama, who will soon pass on the relay torch after tirelessly running a long distance in the course of this university. Trustee Nene Salvosa Bauman, officials of the administration and colleagues in the faculty who can finally take a short break after this ceremony, distinguished guests, the parents, guardians, and loved ones of our graduates whose unstinting support and sacrifice we celebrate today, and of course, our graduates, they who constitute our future servant leaders, the Cordillera Region's institution builders, and the builders of our real and imagined nation. Good afternoon to you all. It is my distinct honor to address you this afternoon and thank you for the very beautiful baccalaureate service. It is my honor to congratulate you for choosing to learn the rudiments of your calling in criminal justice, law, the humanities, the social sciences, and the specialized fields represented in UC's graduate programs from the University of the Cordilleras, a well-respected autonomous institution with centers of excellence that has produced a roster of excellent professionals in the service of the Cordilleras, the Filipino people, and humanity. I am deeply honored to take part in the commencement exercises this year, which commemorates the centenary year of the founder of this institution, Attorney Benjamin Romero Salvosa. While I was doing my research in preparation for this speech, I came across a tribute video for Attorney Salvosa in the University of the Cordilleras website. I already know of him from the 40 years I spent in academe. I knew that he was one of the luminaries in Philippine higher education and a much admired statesman. But what's fascinating about this tribute video is how it included the more personal details of Attorney Salvosa's life. Intimate details like his family's roots, the death of an elder brother, which may have compelled him to step up and become the man of the family, the school organizations he joined and eventually led, and his friendships with future leaders of this country like Chief Justice Fred Ruiz Castro and the House Speaker Jose B. Laurel Jr. The video is familiar to most of you, but let me share my take on it as an outsider. The video showed the story of a man who lived deeply, a man who cultivated his mind, honed his skills, and completed his life's work with excellence. A man who left behind a legacy because he had the courage to step outside his comfort zone and relentlessly pursue his vision to enable the youth of the Cordilleras to have access to quality education. A man who fulfilled his destiny to serve you, the future generations of UP students, and indirectly the people who will be part of your personal missions. The story of Attorney Salvosa holds invaluable lessons for all of us. First, expect life to take you to unexpected places. In the case of Attorney Salvosa, one of those unexpected places was the Cordilleras. We can only wonder at the twists and turns that compelled a man who was born in Unisan, Quezon, studied in the best schools in the city, and for a time held a lucrative law practice in Manila, to pack up his bags and start a new life with his family up north in Baguio City. Yet, despite the circumstances that forced this change, Attorney Salvosa was able to adapt. He established a home for his family in Baguio City and eventually cultivated a deep sense of community with the people of the Cordilleras. Perhaps a fitting corollary to our first lesson is this: wherever life takes you, make the most of your circumstances, and don't forget to enjoy the journey. Second, always step up. Those who want to reach the mountains must first have the courage and conviction to climb. Throughout his life, Attorney Salvosa stepped up to the challenges thrown in his court. He didn't shy away from the additional responsibilities and burdens of leadership. His college profile shows a man who eventually ended up in various leadership positions for all the organizations he had joined. He showed the same courage and tenacity in the various jobs he handled and government posts he held after college. But perhaps one of the most daring and most difficult steps he took was the pursuit of his dream to build for the youth of the Cordilleras a higher education institution from the ashes of the Second World War. This was a dream that he eventually turned into reality with the establishment of Baguio Colleges in 1946. Incidentally, since my teenage years, Baguio had been my refuge, my haven for re-energizing the body and the spirit. It would continue to be so until our children were themselves teenagers crossing to independence. On my way up to Baguio this morning, as I was reminiscing and missing the biannual retreat to this mountain, I pleasantly realized that I had a connection to your university. For throughout 5 decades, the building of Baguio Colleges and later Baguio Colleges Foundation was the landmark entrance in my mind to my sacred space. The third lesson from Attorney Salvosa's story, en todo amar y servir. The famous motto of Saint Ignatius de Loyola, which means in all things to love and to serve. Attorney Salvosa had plenty of opportunities to leave the country and live a comfortable life elsewhere as an esteemed academic scholar and lawyer. Yet he chose to remain and serve the people of Baguio and his fellow Filipinos. Aside from providing leadership to the University of the Cordilleras, when it was still Baguio College, he served as the chair of the Philippine Coconut Authority during the administration of President Magsaysay, and was also active in Baguio's community development projects as president of the Rotary Club. But perhaps his most notable accomplishment is that he was a good family man who inspired his children, 2 of them are here, to become passionate educators and nation builders. Children who, like their father, also translated their love for education into service by supporting the University of the Cordilleras. Dear graduates, I'm sharing these lessons today because just like Attorney Salvosa, we're also responsible for the life we create for ourselves. For the undergraduates among you, life after college will no longer be divided into manageable semesters. Together with the older generation, the older graduates from law and the graduate school, you have to find the motivation to continuously learn and the strength to hurdle the varying difficulty of life's tests. Without the threat of failing grades and disapproving eyes of professors, it's so easy to give in to inertia and to give up on your dreams. It's also easier to focus on your own business and ignore the plight of your neighbor. But the story of Attorney Salvosa demonstrates that while staying on the safe side is convenient, it will not give you a meaningful life. For it is quite likely that refusing to leave your comfort zone will keep you from achieving your purpose, from fulfilling your life's destiny on this earth. I pray, dear graduates, that like Attorney Salvosa, you will step up in the spirit of love to serve the people of the Cordilleras, the regions of your affiliation, and our country. Despite its intractable problems and the more than usual vexations to the spirit that confront our day-to-day life as Filipino citizens. Perhaps of all the UC graduates this year, your group, because many of you are older, or simply because you were provided the disciplinal lenses for honing a quality of mind that can see through the surface of our taken-for-granted world, and connect personal biographies with history and society, your group is more sensitized to the sources of such vexations, and thus more prone to dissatisfaction with the Middle Earth that is our beloved country. Because of this, I humbly implore you to nevertheless spend your productive life in our archipelago, if not in these mountains. You don't have to take the real hardship posts to help the Cordilleras and our nation. But if indeed the fulfillment of your destiny is in our islands, consider serving at the margins every once in a while, if not for the rest of your professional life. But even as I beg you to make the patriotic choice of staying in our country and the noble choice of serving the poor, I know this is easier exhorted than heeded, and we are not in any position to judge motivations. Each of you has different life circumstances, and there are many factors beyond your control. But whether your destiny lies in serving the Filipino public or in serving humanity in other shores, let me offer a few life tips that may help lead you to step up and embrace the unexpected. 10 years ago, I was interviewed about my definition of success. I answered that I do not think of life in terms of success, for success is in itself an ambiguous term. But if I were forced to measure success, I would not go by the usual metrics of money and power. Rather, I would base it on learning, growth, and evolution. There is so much to learn throughout life, and in your century, from a much deeper wellspring of rapidly expanding knowledge and new discoveries than in our generation's 20th century. Beyond formal and informal courses, open yourselves to new experiences and draw lessons from them. More importantly, open yourselves to learning from failure. Do not be afraid to immerse in worthwhile ventures, even at the risk of failure, because failure is the best teacher and the best molder of character. As to growth, I measure success by a person's evolution in the course of decoding personal missions and the purpose of life at different points in time, usually in moments of personal crisis or periods of transitioning from one mission to the next. Please remember that the purpose of life is always bigger than ourselves. Our purpose is to give of ourselves by serving others, whether they be our family, if we are expected by its economic situation to support siblings after graduation, whether they be the people served by the organizations we find ourselves working in, whether they be our friends and colleagues, whether they be the people in our geographic community, the poorest of the poor, or the faceless and nameless in the abstraction Cordillera Autonomous Region or in the abstraction Filipino nation. Just last week, a dear friend who was concerned that I am burning both ends of my candle faster than I admit, gifted me just last week with Ariana Huffington's new book entitled Thrive, Thrive. Huffington noted in her book that the idea of success in the modern world is anchored on two legs, money and power. Accordingly, this formula is unsustainable. We need a third metric or measure of success beyond the first two legs, she said. This third metric has 4 pillars, according to her: well-being, wisdom, wonder, and giving. Yes, giving. The Renaissance Indian Rabindranath Tagore once said, and this is quoted, "I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy." Dear graduates, I urge you to continue learning, growing, giving, and evolving. Life will always have uncertainties and overwhelming worries. But as many others before you have proven, each crisis is an opportunity to become a better version of yourself. In his book Outliers, sociologist Malcolm Gladwell made a study of successful people over the last 50 years. He found out that more than the opportunities that they were given that were given them by the lottery of birth, it was how these individuals turned the baggage of their history into opportunities, how they continuously honed their skills, dedicating at least 10,000 hours to practicing their craft, and how they used their skills to improve the lives of people and address the needs of their time. These were what spelled success. In other words, your future will not be defined by your past or your current circumstances. The story of your future or the fulfillment of your destiny will be shaped by how you would overcome challenges and turn these into opportunities. Put differently, it will be shaped by how you would give your best in all that you do, irrespective of the cards you've been dealt, or whether people see what you are doing or not. But you cannot face the uncertain future of your generation without a strong core. You may not have been prepared adequately in school to develop the life of the spirit alongside the life of the mind and the body, the core that will carry you through difficult moments. But I see from your baccalaureate service that indeed maybe more than the graduates in other schools that you have had more preparation. But regardless of your religion, you have to find an inner room where you can process your thoughts and emotions, where you can be still to find your life's purpose and meaning, where you can assess your choices and discern your destiny, an inner room, your own sacred space. Why is nurturing the life of the spirit important for you, my dear graduates? Because it will help you keep your integrity or wholeness as you face the challenges of life, whether you choose to serve our people in this country or not. And if you decide to help this country brick by brick, you, particularly because of your career trajectories as lawyers, seekers of criminal justice, social scientists, and humanists, would need a strong inner core to meet the moral challenges of your future work without sacrificing integrity in the altar of political expediency and economic interests. The inner space for reflection is also important for another reason. As a wise man once commented, the limitations faced by people who try to make a difference have nothing to do with energy and capacity. They have to do with disillusionment, resignation, and despair. Without the capacity for solitude and reflection, you could unknowingly embrace cynicism and banish hope in the future, as some of my friends and some of us are doing without being aware of it. An inner life will help you detach from negative thoughts, laugh, and embrace an affirmative spirit that is so essential in the face of heavy problems and challenges. In our fast-paced modern world, it is easy to get lost in the glitter and trappings of wealth, in the gadgets that are changing by the day, in the endless pursuit of what's better and best. But as you mature even more, you will realize that all these things are fleeting, that material gain, like puppy loves in your teen years, is temporary. Now that you are at the cusp of the frenzied world of a professional, I want you to remember your core values. I want you to remember who you are, who you live for, and why you are alive. Thank you and congratulations, dear graduates. May you continue to help develop your communities and your nation. May you thrive in the rapidly changing world of the 21st century. May you have the gifts of detachment, laughter, and lightness of being in trying times. May you live peacefully. May you be blessed with abundant grace to fulfill your respective destinies. And to our dear outgoing President, Dr. Ricardo Pama, who has almost completed his mission in the University of the Cordilleras and is commencing a new phase in his life's journey, may you move from strength to strength in greater fulfillment of the purpose of your life. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
At this point, the UC community would like to give due honor and recognition to our commencement speaker. May I ask Commissioner Bautista to stand at the center of the stage, please. The University of the Cordilleras presents this university citation to Dr. Maria Cynthia Rose Bautista for the distinct honor of her presence during the 68th Commencement exercises of the University of the Cordilleras as guest of honor and speaker. Her avowed commitment to the study of human society and institutions through multidisciplinary and interinstitutional research has yielded essential solutions to the more contentious issues and ills that affect the people's relationship with one another and with their environment. These studies in agrarian and education reform to overseas labor migration established her position as one of the Philippines' leading social scientists. As chair of the Commission on Higher Education's Task Force on Quality Assurance, her role serves to ascertain that one of the Philippine society's primary stakeholders, the university students and graduates, obtain a hallmark of education that would propel the country towards its vision for development. These ideals are cherished in keeping with the enduring philosophy of this university's founder, Attorney Benjamin Romero Salvosa, that education is a shield against social inequity and the oppression of poverty. The citation plaque will be given to Commissioner Bautista by our own UC traditional way, to be delivered in a unique and special manner as our own humble gesture of saying thanks, showcasing the rich Cordilleran culture. May I now request the UC Happy Yumi cultural dancers.